Hello everyone, it's Imran here. Welcome back to another video. So, I'm going to react to another Thomas audio story by Narrow Gauge I Am. This was the newest one that was actually uploaded nearly 2 weeks ago it was, and this one is called Black Wheels. So, this takes place during the events of trouble in the shed after Edward has to shunt the, three big engines, trains following, their strike. So, yeah, he now has to face their hostility in the aftermath of doing that. So a few days ago, I reacted to what was the audio? Oh, it was a Home for Boko. It was that I last reacted to, and that was quite a sweet one. It was. So you want to see that out? I'll have it up in the top right corner of your screen. You should definitely check that out because it was quite good. I was just looking at what other audio story I want to react to, and I figured, you know what? Let's just do Black Wheels. Let's just go for something simple in the style of season 1 because I don't know. I think I just want to do a season 1 style reaction since I haven't done one in a while. Gosh, I make no sense at times with my words. I make no sense. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Link to I'm reacting to in the description down below as always. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this. And I wonder where this whole Black Wheels thing is going to come from. I don't have it there. Narrow gauge.
Edward shunted the last coaches back into their sidings. It had been a calm and mostly smooth day, but he didn't delude himself into thinking that all was well. Tensions were high, and it all stemmed from the big engines. Their morning strike did make a clear point on how they felt, but it was done in a very disruptive manner. Edward had come along to shunt their trains, and everything returned to normal, but he could tell that they still weren't satisfied.
Nope,
Edward
not at
left
all.
the yards and made his way to the sheds. He stopped on the turntable and felt very uncomfortable. 3 pairs of eyes were glaring at him in disgust. Gordon, James and Henry had been difficult before, but this was a line Edward never thought they would cross. "Filthy traitor," Gordon hissed, clearly the leader of this little gang. Edward was stunned. "Excuse me? You carry black wheels, Edward, acting so complacent during our strike." Edward wasn't sure what Gordon meant by black wheels.
Yeah, I don't know what
Knowing
that is
him,
either.
it was nothing pleasant. "You should have stood with us," James added. "Make yourself heard." "And sit around like a heap of scrap? Certainly not." "So you accept it?" Gordon huffed. "You'd rather degrade yourself to mere tank engine work?" "Considering I had been locked up in the sheds for God knows how long, Gordon, I'm thankful to have work of any kind.
Yeah, you tell them,
Shunting or
Edward.
otherwise. I'd thought you, of all engines, would know better. We are tender engines, not common tank engines who care little of their appearance. We are at the forefront of railways. We run the main line. Do you think people would take us seriously when they see us crawling through cramped, grimy sidings?" "I'm sure they would look past it if it still meant they had a train," Edward said. "Besides, what harm can a little dirt do to you?" "It's not the dirt," Henry spoke up. "We're just not built for those tiny sidings. It's not simple manoeuvring around, and we can so easily derail on the points.
That's kind of a
It's
fair
simply
point.
impractical." "That's putting it mildly," James muttered. "But it's correct," Gordon said. "Only someone like Thomas is suited for such conditions." Edward was astounded. "You're not suggesting the Fat Controller should just bring Thomas back? He has his own responsibility to take care of. He hasn't the time to fuss about here, you know that." "We didn't say that," Gordon snapped. "Thomas has earned his position, and by all means leave him to it. You must take note, however, that we've yet to have a permanent replacement. All we've had are lone
So that's what they're upset about. That's what they're upset about, is that they don't have a permanent shunter, because they know Edward has his responsibilities, Thomas has his responsibilities on his branch line, and they have their responsibilities for their for their trains. But obviously, since Thomas now works on the branch line, we know the disaster that was Easton. It was. If you've seen my reaction to that audio story, if you haven't done already, they don't have a permanent shunter. So yeah,
Shunters who come and go, James grunted.
we shouldn't take that
You
anger out on
do
Edward.
realise this isn't the only yard in the bloody world, don't you? Edward huffed,
Oh,
losing his
bloody.
patience. You make it out as if the Fat Controller sends them away on purpose. Isn't he? Gordon questioned. Take that more recent one. Easton was his name?
Yeah.
He did wonderful in the yards. Cheeky but efficient. Fit for purchase. And what happened? He was sent away just like that. Since you've clearly forgotten, Gordon, the Fat Controller sent him away after he stole Thomas's train and put his passengers in danger. Would you really trust someone like that to handle your coaches? Then he could have found another. Don't convince me there isn't at least one tank engine out there available to us. Edward took a deep breath. Look, I don't deny the point you are all making. We need another tank engine, that much is true. However, there were better ways to make your point. You could have spoken to the Fat Controller at the station. You know he's there often. At the very least, you could have asked your crews to pass on the message. We shouldn't have had to do that in the first place, James said. We shouldn't have even had to do our strike. It was obvious the moment Thomas left that we needed another shunter, and that was ages ago. The Fat Controller clearly hasn't got his priorities sorted. Precisely, Gordon agreed. If we need to tell the Controller something so blatantly wrong, then we're well and truly hopeless. I'm sorry, Edward, Henry puffed. Evidently he was the only one trying to be civil. But we've been mistreated, and it's worrying you can't see that. Edward sighed. Their minds were made up, and he knew he couldn't break through them. Not by talking, anyway. Tired and miserable, he backed away from the engines and made his way to the carriage shed. The coaches would be much better company.
Wow. Is that it? That was a very, very... A very short audio story, I'm not going to lie, but wow. I mean, I understand their frustration. I understand, the three big engines' frustrations about not having another shunter. I mean, they said, the fact they were trying to defend Easton right there, what Gordon was, I mean, he took Thomas's train. He tried to run Thomas's branch line and put his passengers in danger, Gordon. All right? There was a reason why Easton was sent away as a result. How can't you see that? I mean, how would you feel? How would you feel if Easton did that to your train and your passengers? I mean, I know that I understand the frustration they were feeling at the time, because yes, they need a permanent shunter. They don't like shunting their trains. But come on, taking your anger out on Edward when you could have just told the Fat Controller. I mean, obviously we know he did get a permanent shunter in the end, but he had to lock the three of them away as a result. But really, was that really necessary, you three, to take your anger out on Edward? I mean, at least Henry tried to be civil in the situation, but really taking your problems out on Edward, that's a big no-no. And no wonder Edward decided to sleep in the carriage set. I mean, at least the coaches would understand his feelings. Like, I know their frustration. I know their frustration, but I shouldn't probably be surprised at this, because this does take place during the event of Trouble in the Shed. But still, that Edward didn't deserve that. Edward did not deserve that whatsoever. He literally just did something for you, and yet you guys are being ungrateful about it. I don't know how Edward hasn't snapped following, despite all that thing being hurled at him from the three big engines. But then again, I guess Edward knows that snapping won't make the situation even better. So, yeah, there's not really much else I can say on this. Really nothing else much I can say on this. It was a simple audio story, a short one, but one that's definitely like, wow. They really had to do that to Edward, didn't they? If you do want to see my previous Thomas reactions, whether it's an audio story or Train's adaptation, I'll play this up in the top right corner of your screen right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button for me. Let me know in the comments down below what this audio story reacted to. Also know in the comments down below what other videos you want me to react to next. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. Links both of them will be in the description down below. Share the video, subscribe if you're new here, whenever I get notified. I'll upload new videos in that post the community tab, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!